If you don't like what you're doing right now, like change it. Like sit down and do some self-reflection and write down like what your ideal day would be and what your ideal life would be and manifest that into reality. Like the only thing that's holding us back is ourselves.
Correct.
There's nothing else holding us back. What's going on, wealth builders? My name's Charles Newton with Secure Harbor Financial. In this video, I have the privilege and honor of being interviewed by Efren Baraga of Mad Entrepreneurs. I'm really honored to be on his show. We talk about entrepreneurship and finding your why and pushing through hard times. So stay tuned. I really hope you like the show.
Welcome to the Mad Entrepreneur Show. Today I have a special guest, Charles Newton, a father of two, a lovely husband, and just dove deep into the entrepreneurial journey. And we're here to discuss this journey. So, Charles, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, where do I start, man? Like I said, I got a beautiful family, wife and two kids, and I'm currently also a W-2 employee, and I've been grinding really, really hard lately. So I'm actually in the state where I'm actually transitioning to full-time entrepreneurship. And it's a scary transition, you know, because there's all those unknowns and what if you're not good enough? So I have a company called Secure Harbor Financial. And basically what I do is I help people become financially free at an accelerated rate. And I'm currently building an ecosystem of people like tax strategists, debt elimination people, CPAs, turnkey real estate people. If you want to buy a business, I'm working on creating that ecosystem where you can just plug and play and like figure out what you want out of life. And then you can join that ecosystem and build that whole wealth building machine that you've done with your life, right? And I'm passionate about helping people do that as well.
So let me ask you a question. What made you pivot? Because you started in the W-2 world like all of us, right?
Yeah.
Starting from the bottom,
Yeah.
working your way up to entrepreneurship. And what caused you to pivot and pivot hard?
Well, basically me going and clocking in every day is soul sucking. Mm-hmm. Like a piece of my soul is dying every day that I'm doing that. And I'm not free. I'm not truly free. So with entrepreneurship, you're free. However, there's downsides to it too. You don't get a free lunch out of it. Like, you know, people say, oh, I want to be my own boss. A lot of people don't actually want to be their own boss.
Correct.
Because they can't handle what that entails. They can't make decisions, you know, to move the ball forward. Mm-hmm. So it basically was just, I want more, I would say freedom. A lot of people say they want freedom, but I think that's bullshit. I want more optionality within my life. Like if I want to focus on one thing, I have the ability to do that. And then I also want to be able to do that anywhere in the world. So before we hopped on, you know, the call on this podcast, we were talking about like me possibly moving out of the country. Mm-hmm. I can't do that if I have a W-2 job that I have to clock into work.
Correct.
Right? But I can do that from my laptop if I have, you know, I can help people anywhere in the world as long as I create the systems and just go from there. So that's like the big motivator for me is just like realizing that life is really short and then going, hey, what do you want your life to look like? And then pursuing that vision.
And I'm glad you say that because a lot of people just think that life is long and it's not. It's actually short. But you think your life is long because you're not actually waking up to doing what you want to do, what your passion is. You're not following your own passion. So when you start following your own passion, you realize, shit, life is short.
It's definitely short, but also when you're following your passion, you're going to find a lot of fulfillment too. Mm-hmm. And you're going to wake up and you might even work longer hours. You might be working, you know, 8 hours right now, but you might be working 14 hours in your business, 16 hours in your business, but you could love every minute of it. Like It's just like what you're put on this earth to do.
Yeah, a lot of people tell me, when are you going to retire? And W-2, where I will retire within 2 years. But as far as my own business, I don't think I will retire because it doesn't feel like work. It's your passions driving you. You're having fun. And if you're having fun, why would you ever say you're going to retire from that?
You know, a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, I just want to retire and drink Mai Tais on the beach."
Oh yeah, you go and do that for so long.
Yeah, you go and do that for longer than a week, and you're going to be regretting that decision.
Yeah.
You know, like your whole life. You see a lot of people that retire and they don't have anything to retire into, and they die a year or two later, and it's because they don't have a purpose.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, like, I don't think I'm ever going to retire. I'm always going to be doing something. Like, I have to. Like, that's the way I'm wired. I have to keep doing something. But if I'm helping somebody, the way that I've like really sat down and looked at it, it's like I could accumulate things, right? But when I die, what good are those things if you didn't help anybody?
Correct.
Like, you're like my legacy. I want my legacy to be like, man, Charles, he truly deeply impacted my life.
Yep.
Like, he changed the whole trajectory of my life because of the wisdom that he poured into me, the time he took. You know, that's what I think is going to give true fulfillment, not just, you know, buying the badass car or the cool house. Like, for me, it's more so like, just how can I impact somebody else in a positive way?
Yeah. How can you make a difference in your community?
Yeah.
So is that what led you to go into the insurance route?
Yeah. So for me, I'm a practitioner of the infinite banking concept. So basically, you use a whole life policy as the backstop to your finances, and you reinvest the cash value that you get in your insurance policy to generate cash flowing assets, buying businesses, whatever. But the reason I got into it is because I'm passionate about life insurance and what life insurance can do for your family. Because let's face it, a lot of us aren't necessarily there financially where we want to be, right? So life insurance, you can put that into place and protect your family and continue, like, you can completely alter the future trajectory of your family. Even if you don't make it in your life, at least your family will have that opportunity with the money you provide them and structure properly with trusts and things like that. So, and another thing about, you know, the whole industry, it's tough for people to kind of put the connection that they're going to die. Correct. And the importance of having something like life insurance in place. So I'm passionate about it. And, you know, I like to bring that up to people and have them think like, well, what would happen if you're no longer here? How is that going to impact your family? Oh, you have young kids and you don't have that much savings. You don't have cash flowing assets. Like, what is that going to look like for your wife and the rest of your family?
Yeah. So you're educating them as well.
Yeah.
Giving them the options. And that's the good part that I see from you, is that you're not just trying to sell something. You're actually educating the individuals on, hey, think about the future. You know, a lot of us just live on today.
Yeah.
Or worse, you're living on your past, which is why you're depressed.
Exactly.
Like, stop. But for you, you're showing them the routes, and then they make the decision if they want to go forward or not. But you're giving them everything there. You're giving them all their tools.
Exactly. And I'm working on creating platforms, like educational platforms, where they can go through like master classes and modules and educate themselves. So then they can make their own educated decision. Because I think people should be empowered.
They should.
They should want to understand the different caveats to everything they do. And I just think that putting your money a whole life policy is the perfect foundation for the rest of your finances. Like, I think if you put your money in the whole life policy, you have good amount of cash value, that's going to grow uninterrupted compound interest. But you can pull that money out and you can go and invest in stocks. You can go and invest in property. You can do all these things, but at least you have that foundation. Your family's protected, and it overall, it's a complicated concept to understand. But once you get it, then like people like, oh, now I see the big picture of why you would do that.
And what courses did you take to learn that? Because I know you just came from a mastermind.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of self-education in it, and because there's so much information out there, like I've talked to like PhDs in the industry, Tom Wall and PhD Dr. Wade Pfau, and they like break down the numbers. Like they put the science and the numbers behind why you would do things like that. But for me, it's also just a constant like educating myself and just constantly developing myself personally, right? So that I can show up for my clients. I can break down a complicated concept and break it down in a way that, you know, the average person can understand. So it's, you know, and I'm close with like some of the top industry leaders with, I spend time, like I was in the Dominican Republic with one of my mentors, and he was, you know, he's one of the most influential people in the space for the infinite banking concept and whole life.
Mm-hmm. What made you get a mentor? So what took you that route? Because a lot of people don't believe in mentors.
Well, I guess they don't believe in getting better, or they don't believe in growth. Because if you want to get ahead in life in an accelerated way, yeah, sure, you can go and make those mistakes. It's going to take you a lot longer, and it's going to cost you a lot more during the process. Like, what if you're not making $1 million a year now? What's the cost of that?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Correct.
So it's like if you're making $100,000, the cost of not making $1 million a year is $900,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Right? So people are a little weird about spending money in personal development. Right? Like, why would I go and spend $25,000 to speak to that person? It's because you're going to spend $25 to speak to that person, and you're going to unlock how to make $900,000 more a year.
Correct. You spend the $25,000 and you're going to gain all that knowledge. You're going to gain that gap.
Exactly.
Your learning curve is going to shorten.
Exactly.
So there's always this S curve, right? And that's your learning curve. So if you're doing it by yourself, you're going to make mistakes. It's going to take you maybe you'll go faster. Maybe you're the top 1% and you're going to go faster than the other individuals that got there. But you're still going to have to, there's a lot of time. So if you want to condense that time, you have to have mentors. You have to learn, see it this way for the people watching. If you want to make $100 million and there's an individual already making $100 million, you want to have that individual mentor you, because he's going to shorten that curve for you and you're going to get there a lot faster.
100%. And yeah, I mean, it just makes sense to spend the money. And, you know, I'll get asked like, oh, what should I invest in if I have $10,000? And people think that, you know, they're going to get rich with $10,000. Like, oh, I'm going to go invest in the next crypto or the next this or the next that. And it's like, yeah, you know what the best thing you could do with that $10,000 is? Go and invest it in a coach and a mentor. On yourself. Basically. On yourself. Like, don't worry about that $10,000. Increase your income. Because right? Like, if you can increase your income, you're going to exponentially increase what you can invest in, right? You can reinvest that into more coaching, into more mentors. And then eventually you've created this machine where you're just growing exponentially. You can figure out how to run businesses, or you've figured out how to master a certain niche where you can make a lot of money. And then from all the money you're creating, you reinvest that back into investments. And now you've just really amplified. And now that's like the key to building wealth. We interrupt this show to bring you a word from our sponsors. Us, Mad Entrepreneurs. Look, the economy is tough. The markets are constantly changing. And we are creating a sense of urgency based on the information that we're gathering. We're looking for like-minded individuals that want to grow their equity, that want to continue to build their wealth. We want to do partnerships. If that sounds like you, go ahead and visit our Instagram page at mad.entrepreneurs and DM us the word mad familia, and you'll get the information you need. Now back to the show. Correct. As you got to invest, like you said, in yourself. You got to gather all the skill sets that you need. You can't just be a millionaire overnight. And I guarantee you, if you're a millionaire overnight, look at all the lottery winners. Millionaires overnight. What happens? Broke again. Broke. Why? Because they never had those skill sets to manage that money. So people want if I only had $1 million today,
you will still be broke because you don't know how to manage it. So you want to go after those skills to keep that $1 million and to keep pushing more. So what would you recommend people to do if they're ready to start their ventures to entrepreneurial?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I would say there's a few things that you should consider while going down this avenue. First and foremost, I think most people shouldn't be entrepreneurs. I know it's a sexy word right now, but when you're in the trenches, it fucking sucks. Like it's not fun, right? And the chances of you succeeding the first time, pretty slim.
Yep.
You're gonna fall on your face
Multiple times.
and it's stressful, and it's really tough to be an entrepreneur, to be a successful entrepreneur. But what I would say is, first and foremost, try different things, right? Figure out yourself, figure out who you are as a person. Most of us don't even know who we are as a person. We're living somebody else's ideal life. We don't even know it, right? Like we watch like movie stars or we watch athletes and we're like, oh man, I want to be just like that person. Well, you're not going to be fulfilled if you're like that person. So figure out yourself. And by doing that, it's just like, get out of your comfort zone. Sign up for Toastmasters and speak in front of people, or do something that you're scared of, like learn a different skill. And then another thing I would say is get clear on your values and beliefs. So if you can figure out your core values, like what really makes you tick, that's the key. And like having the energy to pursue what you're going after, no matter how bad it sucks. Right?
So having a strong why.
Exactly. Having a strong why. And so but that also comes down to like knowing who you are as a person.
And then when you say having strong values, is that so people don't like throw you off balance? Because there's going to be a lot of people, and maybe you could touch bases on this. You're telling them their dreams, your own dreams, and they're not ready themselves. They're always going to want to push you away from your own dream or bring you back down to their level.
Yeah. So like when you're going up like different levels, you're going to encounter, and this happens to everybody. First, you're going to realize that you're going to start losing friends. You're going to have to lose your old friends.
Yep.
Unless they're keeping up on the same pace as your self-development, those friends are going to be left behind, and what's going to happen is they're going to start hating on you. Right? And that's a normal function. It's normal for that to happen. Correct. When they're hating on you, that's your cue that
you're doing something right.
You're doing something right. But it sucks too. Yep. You're like, am I really doing the right thing? They might be saying, oh, you're going to fail or this and that. And you know what? They're actually probably right when they say that. But you have to have like the courage and the conviction within your soul to say, no matter what, I'm going to keep going. Right? You're probably going to face challenges with your family. Your family's going to be like, hey, why do you want to quit your really good job? Right? And it's because that really good job isn't in line with your core values. It's not in alignment. So it's like you have to make that decision. Like you don't have an option. So you might find that you have strain with your family. Right?
Yep.
And that's also part of the process. And there's a great story about the crabs in the bucket.
Oh yeah.
It's like the crab, you'll see a bucket of crabs and they're all
getting boiled.
They're not getting boiled. They're all like trying to escape the bucket, right? And the fisherman, he's sitting next to the bucket, and like these people walk by and they're like, "Hey, that crab's trying to get out. He's trying to get out of the bucket." And the fisherman just looks over at it and he goes, "Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine." And what happens is that one crab that's trying to get out, the other crabs grab him and pull him back down. And that's what you'll see with your friends and family. And you have to be aware of those situations so that you can just keep pushing forward and understand that that's just part of the process. And it's not fun. Like most entrepreneurship's not fun. It's like pretty shitty 90% of the time. and then you have like some big wins 10% of the time, and then it's back to being pretty shitty 90% of the time. And like once you understand that, then you know what like the operating system is, and you can just keep pushing forward from there.
Yeah, correct. And one thing I want to add is for like what you touch bases, entrepreneurship is not meant for everybody. And don't let that also discourage you. If you want to try it, go ahead and try it. But I would suggest get into leadership first in the company that you're at. If you're successful in leadership, move up into management. So what I mean by that is if you're a technician, go to a lead. Because when you're a lead, you're not truly managing people, but you're in one step closer to managing people. When you go into management, now you have direct reports. Now you get to learn different personalities and see if you can manage them. If you like that route, then you will be able to run your own business. But if you don't like that route, and a lot of people have found out that they don't like leading people, then it's not for you. Because you're going to have a lot of personalities to deal with. And you got to detach your emotions from them. And it's not easy. And you got to learn to listen to people. And if you can't listen to people and understand them, you won't be successful. Maybe you could be a solo entrepreneur, but then you're not going to be able to scale.
Yeah, so that brings up a great point. If you want to kind of reduce risk when going into business, be an entrepreneur within your company. Mm-hmm. And like you said, try out these different leadership positions. Ideally, if you can be a part of a company that like you want to start, and you can learn the ins and outs of how that company works, then you can eliminate a lot of the risk because you know you've already established the skills that it takes with the whole process, mm-hmm. right? And I know it's something that you're doing, and because of that, like you're going to be exponentially successful because they're teaching you the skills on their dime, mm-hmm. and reducing the risk for you to take action when you want to execute on your next business venture.
Correct. And this is what I tell people. If you want to go into a business venture, why not join a company that already has it and learn from them? If you have a lot of skills to provide, that company will take you. And then that company will also have a lot of skills to provide to you. And you're learning. So instead of following the dollar, follow the educational path. Like, what are you gaining from that position? That's the way I see it.
100%. Yeah. And one thing I would like to add with business ownership and operations and stuff like that, you don't necessarily have to know every function of the business. You do have to know your business better than anybody else, mm-hmm. but you may not be the best manager. You may just be the creative genius. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is you're the idea person. You see the big picture. You don't necessarily know how to do like the minutia within the business. So if that's the case, you have to be good at attracting talent. You have to be amazing at attracting the talent. So if you're not good at management, you need a good operations person that is. And that's not going to destroy your company because of creating a bad culture. Mm-hmm. And the way you're going to do that is by the energy that you're putting out there. If you're putting out bad energy because you're not in alignment or there's like some things that are off, then it's going to cause a lot of issues within the business.
Correct.
So,
do you have any final thoughts for our viewers? Like books they could read and advice you could give them?
Yeah. So I would say if you're thinking about the entrepreneur journey, or if you're just thinking about building wealth, like you can build wealth and be a W-2 employee and be financially free in 10 years from now if you put the right action into place. But I would say start now. Like, don't wait. Don't think that anyone's going to help you out. Like you're in the driver's seat of your life, right? And so you have a pen and you can write your story. From here on out, you have the ability to write your story here on out. If you don't like what you're doing right now, like change it. Like sit down and do some self-reflection and write down like what your ideal day would be and what your ideal life would be and manifest that into reality. Like the only thing that's holding us back is ourselves.
Correct.
There's nothing else holding us back. But as far as books, the most recent one that I really liked, it's like a very tactical book. It's called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And it talks about how, like, as you grow as an entrepreneur, you start hitting pain points. And the way to get past these pain points is by hiring people that can do the job that you were doing. So then you can focus your job on bigger ideas, bigger challenges, and you just keep repeating that cycle.
Correct.
And it's super powerful, and it's counterintuitive. He's like, just reinvest the profits that you make into people to take tasks off your table so that you can
continue to grow.
Yep.
Yeah,
Over and over and over
like the
again.
book says, buy back your time.
Exactly.
You're no longer stuck, confined to that task. Now you have someone else that is happy to take that wage and do those tasks.
Exactly.
So that powerful message. And I'll add to designing your life by your own terms, like Charles just mentioned. If you have, everyone has a damn iPhone or an Android phone. You have a calendar. If you really want to design your life, start adding tasks to every hour. It might be, you might be thinking like, every hour, that's too much. But if you could manage your life by the hour, you won't have wasted time. And I could tell you my numbers. I spend 1 hour watching one show while I eat. And that is my reward. That's less than 5% of my time in a day.
100%. And so you bring up a good point. A lot of people say, well, I don't have time to pursue other ventures. And I don't care who you are. I call bullshit on that, because if you have a 30-minute break or an hour break at your job, that's time there.
Correct.
And if you really looked at all the time that you spent scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media device that you have right now, it would be crazy. If you eliminate the binge watching Netflix shows, that's also time that you can allocate towards building your future life.
Correct.
So if you really don't like where you're at now, it's like, take an inventory of where you're spending your time, like you said, and reallocate that time to things that are gonna get you to where you want to go.
Yep, 100%. And with that, thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Charles, for being here.
Thanks, brother.